right, everyone. So today let's get warmed up and we'll be moving into our Tittibhasana this morning. So let's come to child's pose just to start. So coming to your child's pose with big toes together, knees apart, walking your arms forwards. Bring your arms into whatever shape feels comfortable for you this morning as we take 5 deep breaths here, just to settle in, ground here on your mat, connect with your breath, tune into your body. Just finding a moment of stillness as you ground here on your mat. And when you're ready, really reaching forwards through your arms, spreading fingers, opening palms, and gently shifting into downward facing dog. And in your first downward dog of the day, you can pedal up feet or roll shoulders in and out. So whatever's feeling good in your body this morning, whatever's going to help you just to ease into our practice. Go on pressing through your hands, feeling a little work into those triceps. Pressing the hips up and back, start to work into your hamstrings. And from here, slowly making your way to the top of the mat, maybe with a walk or a step or a jump. And inhale as we halfway lift, lengthen through your spine. Exhale to forward fold, relaxing through the back of the neck. Rising up to standing, high mountain, reach up through the sides of the body. Take a good stretch, whatever feels good. And releasing back into your Tittibhasana mountain pose. As we flow through a few rounds of Surya Namaskar, sun salutations, just to get warm. Inhale, reaching up through the arms, Hastasana. And exhale, nice, slow, extra slow forward fold. Let's get into those hamstrings right from the get-go. Once you're down in your forward fold, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, and we'll repeat. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen spine. Exhale, forward fold. One more time, inhale as we halfway lift. And ground through the hands, making your way back into plank. Holding in your plank, spread your fingers, become aware of your hands. Pushing your hands into the mat. Maybe taking a little bit more of a high plank position, allowing for that rounding between the shoulder blades. And from plank, extra slow, strong push as we move back into downward dog. Take a few deep breaths in your down dog. Go on spreading through the fingers and pressing through your hands. When you're ready, making your way to the top of the mat through a walk, step, or jump. Inhale as we halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold, soften the neck, start to work on straightening the legs gently. Inhale as you rise up to standing, reach up through the arms. And arms down to your sides, just grounding and checking in as you come into your Tadasana. One more round as we inhale, both arms up. Exhale, slow forward fold. How slowly can you come down? And once you're down, releasing the back of the neck in our forward fold. Inhale as we halfway lift. Exhale to fold, and we'll repeat. Inhale to halfway lift. And exhale to fold. One last time, inhale, halfway lifting. And exhale, forward fold. Grounding through the hands, walking, stepping, jumping back into plank. Hold your high plank position, spreading through the fingers. Pushing through the hands, triceps nice and strong and active. And allowing a little bit of a rounding through the shoulder blades. Gentle rounding through the spine in our plank. Working the shapes of our shoulders for Tittibhasana a little later on. With a slow, strong push, make your way into downward dog, pushing through the hands, working through those shoulders and arms. Taking a few deep breaths to ground here in your down dog. And as we gaze forwards, walk, step, or jumping to the top of the mat. And inhale as we halfway lift. Exhale to forward fold. Really working into that deep forward fold now. Rising up to standing. Reaching up through the sides of the body. And releasing arms down. Maybe you just want to shake it out, roll it out, do whatever your body needs at this point. Hopefully feeling a little warmer now. Let's come into Utkatasana chair pose. So sweeping from the ground, bend the knees, sit back into the heels as you sit low into your Utkatasana chair. Feel a sensation of squeezing your knees together, just as we'll be squeezing our knees to our upper arms a little later on. From your Utkatasana, squat down into Malasana. Low squat and round through your shoulder blades in your spine. Really start to feel compact in a little ball shape. From your Malasana, extend your arms forwards and sit back onto the sit bones, floating the legs up into Navasana boat pose. Take a moment in your boat, feeling those hip flexors firing up. And from your boat, you're going to recline down and roll your feet overhead like a little halasana. Keep more weight back on your shoulder blades and almost towards the rib side. So we're allowing that rounding in the spine. Neck is gentle, neutral neck, gaze up to the ceiling. Feel that rounding in the spine. From here, we're going to float back through Navasana, Malasana, Utkatasana. Are you ready? So with a little momentum now, roll it down. Sweep through your boat into Malasana. Step through the feet, Utkatasana. And ground back to standing. So really warming up, working into these shapes. Let's try it one more time. This time we're going to stay down on our mat. So from chair pose, bending the knees, sitting your way back into those heels, feeling that leaning back. Squatting down, Malasana. Round little compact ball shape. Rounding through the shoulders, rounding through the spine. Sitting back, floating legs into boat pose. Working through those hip flexors. Keeping the legs up as you slowly roll down through the spine. And then bring the legs overhead like a little Halasana pose. Don't have to take the feet to the ground just yet. Keeping the neck nice and neutral, spine rounded. See how much you can almost curl your hips back. So your legs are coming closer towards your face. And now extra slow, begin to roll down one vertebra at a time. How slowly can you curl? Pushing down through the hands really helps. And then we'll come to happy baby once you're down. And bending the knees, taking hold of the feet. Take your time to get there. I'm not very good at rounding my back. I can back bend anytime, but those are killer. So if you're better than me, maybe you took a little longer to get down. And your happy baby, just take a few moments here, being that little external rotation in the legs, starting to work into our adductors, inner thigh muscles. Still feeling that rounding into the low back. So if your tailbone is curling off the floor, just allow for that today. Then keep holding your right foot and lengthen your left leg straight down along the mat. Leg can be bent if it's feeling a little intense. Otherwise, work towards getting it straight. And roll the right leg in a little deeper. So as we move into our Supta Padangusthasana, start to bend and stretch your right leg. At this point, you can take a strap if you would like to use your strap in this pose. Otherwise, just hold a little lower down the leg, holding back of knees or calves or ankles. If it's feeling very tight, and maybe allowing a little point and flex in the ankle. Bend and stretch in the knee, just easing in. And then when you're ready, holding your right leg straight up towards the ceiling. Maybe you're binding the big toe. Maybe you're holding anywhere along the leg or strap. And just take a few breaths here. Feeling that nice stretch through the back of the legs, which we need tons of mobility in Tittibhasana to straighten the legs. It's such a flexy hamstring pose. If you need a little more movement here, keep pointing and flexing or bending and stretching. And then bringing your right leg into our second variation, turning your right leg out to the side, externally rotating from the hip. And then bringing your toes up towards the shoulder. Now stretching more through inner thighs as well as hamstrings. Just as our legs will be in Tittibhasana later on. When you're ready, bending the right knee, come back into happy baby with both legs. Maybe just take a moment to rock it out and release. Over to the left, when you're ready, right leg extends down along the mat, increasing the happy baby on the left. Slowly starting to bend and stretch the left knee. Working a little deeper into your hamstrings. So your leg might be veering off slightly on a diagonal. That's all good for now. Working our Tittibhasana shapes. Pointing and flexing ankles, bending and stretching knees, anything you need this morning. And when you're ready with a strap or without a strap, coming into your first Supta Padangusthasana A with your legs straight up towards the ceiling. And taking a few breaths here. Nice, strong, active legs. And then moving into our second variation, opening the leg out to the side, externally rotating from the hip. And then continue to draw your toes up towards the left shoulder. So we're keeping that leg up nice and high. And slowly starting to ease back into your happy baby pose, bringing both legs back in. Then straightening both legs up towards the ceiling. Maybe you want to walk your hands up through the back of the calves, ankles, knees, wherever they land up. Start to curl the tailbone off the floor. Nice. Keeping the legs nice and active here. Sending the arms up overhead. See if you can slowly roll your tailbone off the mat and roll your feet into a halasana shape. All right. Now we'll separate the feet, hip distance apart, and maybe your feet have come down towards the ground. In this, think of more of it like a Supta Paschimottanasana. So curl your bum back towards the floor slightly. So we're not on our necks. We're trying to roll down a little bit. If your feet don't touch the floor, that's totally cool. And if you need a little extra support from your hands behind your hips, please just adapt, modify. Just feel a rounding in the spine, the legs a little open. And then if you're comfortable to, you're going to extend your hands through your legs. So we're doing a supine Tittibhasana, a really weird one. So Supta Konasana, we call it, with your arms reaching through the legs. And then you're going to press your hands up towards the ceiling and then curl back as much as you can so you're not on your neck, more towards the shoulder blades and ribs. Just explore the shape. When you're ready, you can release your arms back overhead. Bring the legs back towards together, and then we're going to slowly roll back to the mat. Through a little supine Paschimottanasana, bringing legs fairly parallel to the floor. And then rolling up to seated. When you get down a little deeper. And in seated, we'll come to Baddha Konasana when you're ready. So in Baddha Konasana, allowing the legs to open out to the sides. Option to forward fold if you wish in your Baddha Konasana. Just take a few breaths here. And then from your Baddha Konasana, come to seated, holding the outer edges of the feet. And take a moment just to squeeze your knees to your upper arms. So feeling your inner thighs working as you squeeze your knees to your outer arms. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then it feels really nice just to let your legs drop out to the side. And it often feels like they can go down a little more. And then we'll do that again. Squeezing knees to upper arms, feeling that connection through our inner thighs. And then let the legs drop out to the sides. One more time like that, squeezing knees to upper arms. And then dropping legs out in your Baddha Konasana. From here, extend your right leg out to the side at about a 45-degree angle or more if you're feeling super flexy. So we're going to do a single leg Upavishta Konasana. So right leg is out, hold your left foot in comfortably and forward fold with your right leg out to the side. Working into those adductors now. Right leg is out to the side, left foot is bent in. Single leg Upavishta. And then walking the hands back to center, we'll bring soles of feet back together in Baddha Konasana. And we'll do our squeezes again. So with wrapping around the outer edges of feet, squeeze knees to upper arms. And then relax legs out to the sides. Two more like that. Squeezing to feel that clamping of your legs, your knees against your upper arms. And releasing it out. Last time, squeeze. And release. This time, left leg extends out to the side. Bring your right foot in so it settles comfortably. And then walking the hands forward, forward fold with your left leg out. Single leg, wide forward fold stretch. Feeling that stretch into inner thighs on the left. And then gently walking hands back towards you. This time open both legs out to the side, so both legs are wide. And then walking the hands forwards as much as you're comfortable to. Keeping the legs nice and active, feet flexed or flointed. When you're ready, slowly starting to walk your hands back towards you. From here, extending arms forwards. We're going to curl back onto the back of the sit bones and float our legs back into boat pose. Bringing those legs up. Feeling that work through your hip flexors as we come into our boat pose. And then curling back into half boat. Feel that rounding into the spine now. How much can you round your shoulder blades, round through the spine, bringing the legs down a little bit. Coming back up through full boat. And then take hold of your ankles, calves, wherever they land up. And forward folds, I like to call this flexi boat pose. Bringing the legs in, rounding through the spine, Ubai Parangustasana. Getting nice and compact with those legs. Then we'll try and keep this shape now as we open the legs. And you've guessed it, seated Tittibhasana, extending your hands forwards through the legs. And then use those hip flexors to really go and drawing your leg in, rounding through the spine, pressing through your hands. Find Tittibhasana in a seated position. Squeezing your legs to your upper arms. Take one more breath here. It's tough. And then we're going to come to cat-cow. So crossing ankles, rolling over feet. Onto all fours. So as you come onto all fours, maybe just take a few rounds of cat-cow. Just flow it out, moving with your breath. And of course, today we want to focus more on that rounded cat-like position for our Tittibhasana. So as we move into cat, really pushing through the hands, rounding through the shoulder blades, rounding through the spine. Take a few more rounds with your breath. And then we'll hold our last one in our cat stretch, rounding the spine, pushing through the hands, tucking tailbone nice and round, and then just rock forwards and back between your hands and your knees, and just feel that nice big rounded shape through the spine. Shoulder blades are moving apart, and we're spreading through the hands and pressing through your hands. Maybe leaning a little bit over the fingers as we start to work into the wrists. And then gently releasing back through a neutral position. We'll extend the right leg straight back behind you and bring your right knee high up to your right upper arm. Hooking knee to right upper arm. And inhale as you send it back. Good. And then knee connects to the upper arm 3 times. And sending it back. One more time, knee hooks to the right upper arm, hold it there. Look forwards, little lean forwards. Push through the hands, round through the shoulders. And then step right foot forwards into your lizard pose. From your lizard, maybe you want to come down a little bit deeper and just settle into your lizard legs. Stepping back up onto the hands, keeping the right leg in lizard, rock back into a half split. So in your half split now, your right foot is on the outside of your right hand. And let's do that 2 more times. Inhale to lizard. And exhale to rock back half split. As you come forwards into lizard, think of squeezing your right knee to your right upper arm. Keep that knee connected to the shoulder. And then rock back into your half split. One more time. Lizard, squeezing knee to right upper arm. We will need to place our legs later on. And then rocking back half split. Coming back into our lizard pose, one more squeeze of the knee up against the arm. And then from here, you're going to lower down, snuggle your right shoulder underneath your right knee and thigh. And then take your arms out to the sides in like a chaturanga position. And think of pulling your hands back a little bit. So in chaturanga, pull the hands back so you've leaned more forwards. Look forwards, lean your head forwards as you send your hands back. So you're going to feel a little stretch into the wrist here. And then squeeze your right knee up against your right shoulder. So working the shapes of our Tittibhasana here in our lizard. Good. And then slowly rock back onto your hands. See if you can crouch down now into like a standing split, rather halfway split, with your leg up against your shoulder. So really just working that flexy part of the pose now. Rock forwards back into lizard. Stabilize your hands as you flick your right foot off the floor, coming back to knee hooked onto the upper arm. And then send it back. And come back to all fours. Good. I hope that's all making sense. Some interesting shapes over there. Let's feel that on the left. So left leg extends straight back, knee to upper arm 3 times. And we allow for a little bit of flow and movement. Hook. Inhale, send it back. Knee to upper arm, we hook. And send it back. One more time, hooking knee to upper arm, round through the shoulders. Look forwards, lean forwards. Step forwards into lizard pose. Take a few moments to settle into your lizard legs. You might want to come down to elbows. Just feel it out. And then we come back up onto our hands. So hands are underneath shoulders. Your foot might be a little bit further in front of you. That's all good. And from our lizard, squeezing left knee up against left shoulder. Feel that connection. And then rock it back into a half split. So your left foot is still on the outside of your left hand. And then moving through this. Lizard pose, knee squeezing up against the left upper arm. And rocking back half split. Flexing toes. Straightening knees if possible. 2 more like this. Inhale to lizard, squeezing knee to shoulder. Exhale, rock it back. One more time. Lizard with a squeeze. And rocking back half split. Moving back into lizard. We're going to snuggle the left shoulder underneath the left knee and thigh. And then walk the left hand out. So your hand will most likely come off your mat a little bit. And then bring your hands back like chaturanga arms. Think of dragging your hands back, even though they're not really moving. Pull your hands back as you look forwards, lean forwards, and use the weight of your head to bring you forwards, which is what we really need in Tittibhasana. Look forwards, lean forwards with your head. Squeezing left knee still up against the shoulder. Feeling a little stretch coming into those wrists now. Feel the shapes. Use the weight of your head to keep you forwards. And then like this, slowly move back into your half split with your leg over your shoulder. So just working the flexibility shapes. This is probably a little bit harder. Trying to stay nice and compact. Look forwards, lean forwards back into our lizard version. Head is forwards, hands are dragging back. And then we flick the left foot off the floor, bringing knee to upper arm, holding it here for a breath. And then we send it back. And releasing back onto all fours. You might want to just melt back into a little child's pose for a moment. And just let it all go. From child's pose, extending hands forwards. Let's move back to downward dog. Gazing to the top of the mat, walk, step, or jump to hands. Inhale as we halfway lift. And exhale to forward fold. Rising up to standing, reach up through the arms. And releasing back into Tadasana. Hopefully feeling a little bit warmer now. Let's go. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, fold, and we'll repeat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. One last time. Inhale, halfway lifting. Exhale to fold. Grounding through the hands, make your way back into plank. Holding in your high plank position, rounding through the shoulders, rounding through the spine. And a slow, strong push into downward facing dog. From downward dog, inhale, right leg up for three-legged dog. Just step forwards between your hands. Finding a little lunge. Bring your hands to the inside of the right foot. Take a moment just to squeeze right knee up against right shoulder. From here, we turn to Skandasana. Sitting low into your Skandasana on the right. And moving to Skandasana on the left. Turning to the back of the mat. Lunging onto our left leg. And then step forwards into your Malasana with feet together. Feet together, Malasana squat at the back of the mat. And rounding through the shoulders. Rounding through the spine, nice and compact. From here, we take a big step back with our left foot. So we've done a circular flow. So left foot steps wide, come into your goddess pose, rise up to goddess. Feel that external rotation of the leg sides pressing out. And then turning the feet to parallel, inhale your arms up as we slowly fold forwards into Prasarita. Wide-legged standing forward fold. Nice and slow. Once you found the ground, walk your hands through your legs. So walk your hands all the way to the other side of the mat, bringing your chest closer and closer through your legs. How far can you walk your hands back through your legs? Keeping your legs strong and active. How much can we bring our chest towards our thighs and get nice and compact here? If you run out of space, just shuffle your feet in a little bit closer so you can reach further through your legs. Slowly we walk our hands back underneath shoulders, turning back to the front of the mat, take a pyramid pose over the left leg. Hamstrings should be feeling a little warmer now. Pyramid on the left. And if you want in your pyramid, you can even walk your hands back towards your right foot. Allowing that rounding through the shoulder blades and sending your hands backwards. Bringing the hands forwards, if you've sent them back. Ground through your hands low, lunge, send left leg up, three-legged dog. Pause there for a moment. And step left foot forwards between the hands. Then bring your left hand to the inside of the left foot and just squeeze left knee up against left shoulder for a moment. Feel that connection, feel that shape as you continue to push through the hands and round a little through your shoulder blades. Move to Skandasana. Left leg is bent in your Skandasana. And transition to the back of the mat towards the right foot. Round and compact in your Skandasana. Turning to the back of the mat. Right leg is in front. Step forwards into Malasana with your feet together. Open the knees and rounding in Malasana at the back of the mat. Rounding through the shoulder blades, nice and compact. Ground through the hands as you take a step back with your right foot. And then come up into goddess pose. Pressing the thighs wide up to the sides. We straighten the legs and turn the toes in, arms up overhead, and taking a nice slow forward fold into our wide-legged Prasarita. This time our hands aren't going to touch the floor, they're going to reach through our legs. So reaching your hands through your legs, arms parallel to the ground, reach, 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 trying to get your shoulders as close as you can to your thighs. If your head is touching the floor and you've run out of space, then just shuffle your feet in a little closer and go on reaching through your legs. Feeling the shapes of Tittibhasana now in our wide-legged standing forward fold. Go on reaching through. Then we bring hands underneath shoulders, turning to the front of the mat. Take pyramid pose on the right leg. Option to walk hands back. Getting the sensation of walking hands back. Strong active legs wherever your hands are. And then grounding the hands forwards, a little low lunge, sweep right leg up for three-legged dog. And come back into your downward facing dog. Gazing to the top of the mat, walk, step or jump to hands. Inhale as you halfway lift. And exhale as we forward fold. Rising up to standing. And releasing arms out. Okay, so I don't mind which foot you step back with now, as long as you step wide into goddess and maybe you want to just face towards your camera, because we'll be working through shapes facing this way for now. So step into goddess pointing towards me, wherever that is, and come into your goddess pose. Good. Extending your right leg out for triangle pose. Turn right foot out, left foot in, and moving to triangle on the right. Last little stretch for hamstrings and inner thighs here. Turn into pyramid facing towards your right leg, but bring your hands to the inside of the right foot, so kind of like that lizard pyramid shape. Lunge to the right knee and turn to Skandasana on the right. Maybe getting a little deeper into your Skandasanas now. Over to the left, we transition. Turning over to the left leg, take your pyramid pose with your hands on the inside of your left foot. Squaring off the hips. Grounding the right foot as we open up for triangle pose on the left. Hands to ankles, shins, the floor. goddess pose. And then turning the feet in, arms up, slow forward fold into our wide-legged prasarita. Extra slow. This time we place our hands underneath the shoulders. So we're not going through. Have a look at your hands, spread your fingers, open your palms, and then lean forward. So gaze forwards, focus drishti far ahead of you, a little further than the hands. Lean forwards over the wrists, push down through the hands, and shift more weight into your hands as you look forwards and lean forwards. A little wrist stretch. Nice, lean forwards, look forwards. And then rock back to the feet. We'll do that 2 more times. Look forwards, lean forwards. So in Tittibhasana, the biggest thing is we always fall onto our bums, right? So we need to use this action, rock back and forwards. We need to use this action of using the weight of our head and looking forwards and leaning our upper body forwards to help us from rocking back into our bums. Nice, come back into your wide-legged forward fold. And then shuffle your feet together, still facing the side of the mat. Squat down, Malasana. Maybe just take a little break for those wrists. So we're going to play with a little bit of a shape here. We're going to do our crow pose, right? So our first little baby on balance. And in your crow, I challenge you to extend one leg forward. So it's kind of like one leg is in Tittibhasana and the one leg is bent in crow. Want to give it a bash? So we bring our hands down for Bakasana crow. Now here, just work the shapes and actions. Look forwards, lean forwards. Feel the feet maybe rising off the floor. And if you're quite comfortable here, it's not easy, but see if you can shuffle right leg forwards. And then back into crow. So have a little fun there. The main mantra here is to look forwards, lean forwards, feel your head moving forwards. Don't be there for too long, don't tire out your arms. Take a little break in between. You can turn your videos on now because now it's getting fun. Okay, cool. Let's try that on the left. So just working the Bakasana shape. So you're rounding through the shoulders, you're squeezing knees to upper arms. So a lot of similar actions here. Using the weight of the head to lean forwards, finding your little Bakasana, and then maybe sending your left leg forward. So you got one leg in crow, one leg moving into a sort of Tittibhasana shape. If you have short arms like me, it's very hard to not touch the ground. Just play with the shapes. Yay! Nice. And then we won't tire out too much because we want to do a few Tittibhasanas. We're just working the same actions. Well done. So from here, just straightening your legs, shuffling your feet hip distance apart. And you might want to take Parahastasana, bringing your soles of your feet onto the palms of your hands and just like hang out here like a ragdoll kind of pose, gorilla pose, lots of names for this. Relax your wrists and arms, still working shapes of forward bends. And then we start to move into our peak pose. The first time we do it, I'm going to give you the option for blocks, okay? So if you're here, you can send your blocks behind you. I'm going to turn myself to the side so you can see better. Okay, so before we go, let's chat a little bit about what we need in Tittibhasana, right? So as we enter the pose, it's often quite awkward with the hands because your fingers are pointing back like this. So there's a lot of work on our wrists. So that's why we're going to take the blocks for our first version, and I'm going to have my fingers off the blocks. Can you see that? Just to assist with that really intense wrist action of Tittibhasana, okay? So that's firstly. And then from our forward fold, your feet can be as wide as you need them to be. Spend a little time snuggling here. So I like to take my right hand behind my right calf. Get a good shuffle in there. Get as compact as possible. Your feet can turn out. They can do whatever they need to. If you have your hands close to you like this, you will 100% fall on your bum, okay? You need to take your hands far back, and that's what feels scary because look here, my wrists aren't going to touch the blocks until I've rocked back. So there's a little bit of trust there, leaning back, okay? So let's come into that with blocks to start. Even if your feet don't lift off the floor, just work the shapes. So we've got our blocks shoulder distance apart. We're going to forward fold with our feet hip distance wider, whatever you need them to be. And you're going to spend a little time in the snuggle. So the more you can snuggle your knees and your thighs onto your upper arms, the better. So don't rush the snuggle. Then when you're ready to take your hands back, take them back further than you think that you need. Your wrists won't touch the blocks just yet. That's the bit of a scary part. Okay. Now from this point, you need to look forwards and use the weight of your head. I say to some students, stick your head out like a tortoise. Okay. Use the weight of your head to keep yourself from falling back. Give it a go. So from your snuggle, take your hands behind your calves. Snuggle, 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 shoulders as much as they can under those knees and thighs. Okay, then your blocks are quite far away from you and that feels a little scary, but as long as you can touch them now, stick your head forwards. For those, your blocks can be slightly closer to you and turn your fingers to point the same way as your toes. So your hands are like pointing in a very weird way. So as you go back, your wrist will be on the block, but your fingers point forwards in the same direction as your toes. It feels very awkward. Okay, that's it, Tang, nice. And now stick your head forwards to keep your weight forwards. And then it's just that so hard to straighten the legs. You guys are doing great. Take a little break in between because we'll do it without our blocks next if you also want to try that. That's nice for those, perfect. There you are. So we always want to have our hands closer. And if your hands are too close, it really is hard to not fall on your bum. So let's play with it again. Okay, let's go together one more time. If you want to keep working with your blocks, they really help with the hand position. If you want to try without the blocks now, give it a bash. Okie dokie. So, from our feet hip distance apart, folding forwards, and then taking the hands behind your calves or your Achilles, get a good snuggle. So when I say hands are far back, about a hand's distance or more, depends on how long your arms are and all of that. For me, if I place my hands too close, I'm going to fall on my bum, okay? So your hands are about another hand's distance back. That dimension works for me, okay? And then from here, you just want to sit on your arms and take that moment to just slowly rock your weight back on your hands. That's the biggest process there. And then from here, my fingers are pointing forwards with my feet. I'm sitting my legs on my upper arms, using the weight of my head to keep the weight forwards. And then it's always a massive challenge to straighten the legs because there's so much going on there, right? Folding forwards. Work a good snuggle. Bring the blocks a little closer if they're too far. That's it for toes. Now flip your hands to point forwards to your toes. Yes, Juliet, that's it. Then you slowly roll back to get your hands to the mat. Nice, Martina, beautiful. And that's just a process of getting the hands down, and it's nasty on the wrists. If you keep falling on your bum, keep sticking your head forwards like a tortoise. I know it doesn't sound very attractive. And having your hands further back is the key. That's it, Lauren. Nice. Excellent. Vedette, take your hands a little further back. Yes, yes, yes. For those, that looks perfect now. You've got it. You've so got it. Now stick your head forwards. Now don't rush this part. Just slowly one foot, feel the other foot lift. Just sitting on your arms in this position is something to get into. Nice, Vedette. Yay. And then try and shoot the legs forwards. Even if it's just one at a time. Of course, you have your Tittibhasana there, where if you didn't want to straighten your legs, what you could also do is shuffle your feet together and cross your ankles, right? So it requires less insane hamstring work. So if you were doing that, it's quite nice to try if you want to give one more bash. Normally you would do it before Tittibhasana, but it's a lovely alternative one. So you would do your same snuggle, get into your blocks or the floor, and then I like to do it with my feet on the mat. I'm shuffling my feet on the mat so I can use the mat to help hook the ankles, and it feels so nice because when your ankles are hooked, it really squeezes your knees into your upper arm. So if your wrists aren't broken and you want to give this one more bash, use the floor to shuffle your feet in, and then hook one foot on top of the other. Whatever happens, happens. Keep leaning your head forwards to keep the weight forwards. Yes. And then once your ankles are hooked, it feels nice and compact and stable, which is lovely. Lovely. Yay, nice. Such a nice pose, that. And a lovely one to work with your Tittibhasana when you also hook your ankles. Lovely one to do together. Hopefully we'll have another arm balance class to do that. Ah, well done, everyone. Yay, Lauren going for a last bash. Woo! Such a fun one, this. And straightening your legs in this pose is tough. So well done. You all did so well. Let's come to sit with our legs crossed for a moment. Let's just ground all that down. Take a few breaths to settle. When you feel ready, take an easy twist to the right. And when you're ready, an easy twist to the left. Or whatever your body needs. I know we're running out of time. You might want to take hold of the front of the knees and just move into a little arch of the spine just to undo all the rounding we've done, and maybe just want to move through a little seated cat-cow, but this time focusing more on the extension. And if you have your blocks handy, I always love a supported bridge. I'm a lover of the bridge. Uncross the legs, make your way down onto your back. And maybe you want to separate your feet the width of the mat and do a few windscreen wipers here. You can take an active bridge or placing a block underneath your pelvis for a supported bridge, which feels really nice. So a little gentle back bend just to undo all the rounding we've done today, but also a little twist or just lying flat, whatever your back needs. I find these postures really strong on my back, more so than big back bends. I'm a little bit weird. So whatever feels good for you in this moment. If you're working with the block, it's nice to bring it up in all its various different heights. I'll leave it to you just to slowly release and unwind. Well done today, everyone. That was really fun. So at 1 o'clock, I'm going to guide you a little bit more with this peak pose sequencing. We'll break down what I just taught you today and all the weird shapes that we were working through, so we can find more creative ways to explore this peak pose sequencing. So please come to class with a arm balance in mind that you want to do a peak pose on, and I'm going to support and guide you through the process a little bit more, okay? Please settle in for a nice warm Shavasana. Thanks, Ashton. Put your legs in whatever position feels good, do whatever feels great, and I'll see you all at 1 o'clock. Well done. You guys are amazing.